Peter. Molweni. Let me recognize in our midst the editor of the New Age, Mr. Mohsin Williams, our partner, the SABC and Transnet, all the MECs here present. I've seen MEC Kuteli from the Free State, the Director General, Mr. Spusi Sotaba, and all the managers and CEOs and chairpersons of our boards, and all our stakeholders, esteemed guests, fellow South Africans. Over the past weekend, we received good news that the founding father of our nation, former President Nelson Mandela, was discharged from hospital. We take this opportunity once again to wish Tata Madiba well as he recovers from home. Even in sickness, Tata Madiba continues to unite our nation and remains an enduring symbol of our freedom and democracy. To deepen his proud legacy, on the 18th of August, together with the Department of Sport and Recreation, we hosted a successful Nelson Mandela Sports and Culture Day, bringing South Africans together in celebration of our unity in diversity. Work is at an advanced stage to erect and mount a statue of Tata Madiba at the Union Building as part of its centenary celebrations this year. Fellow South Africans, September is a heritage month, a month to celebrate our common heritage. The theme for this year's Heritage Month is reclaiming, restoring, and celebrating our living heritage. This theme is a call to recognize the importance of our tangible heritage, our museums, commemorative sites, and interpretation centers in building an inclusive society. Since 1994, we have built new museums, monuments, commemorative sites as part of crafting a new and inclusive narrative for our country. This includes the Freedom Park in Tshwane, the Ngome Museum in KwaZulu-Natal, the Matola Memorial and Interpretation Center in Mozambique, the Steve Biko Center in Ginsberg, and the Nelson Mandela Museum in Mthatha. We have also built a road linking the Voortrekker Monument to the Freedom Park, symbolizing a new era of cooperation between the two heritage institutions. During this month, we will convene a 2-day Khoi and Sen Heritage Summit. This will do as part of our ongoing work to integrate the stories, the struggles, and the ways of life of the Khoi and Sen communities into our national heritage. This year's National Heritage Day will be hosted in the Eastern Cape in Mdantsane. We call all South Africans throughout the country to celebrate Heritage Day. Program Director, yesterday we marked the start of this year's National Book Week, featuring activities across the country aimed at encouraging the culture of reading and writing. Taking part in this year's National Book are prominent authors such as Zakes Mda, Sindiwe Magoma, Dion Meyer, and Gqina Mhlophe. Let me spend a bit of time talking about most important topic for all of us, and that's social cohesion and nation building. Program Director will recall that in July last year, we convened the National Summit on Social Cohesion and Nation Building in Kliptown, the birthplace of the Freedom Charter. Delegates at the summit committed themselves to building a South Africa that truly belongs to all who live in it, black and white, united in our diversity. They called for the creation of a proud and caring society. They agreed on a program of action to be implemented by all stakeholders. The program includes working together to implement the National Development Plan, Vision 2030, building a society based on Ubuntu, redress, transformation, and social justice, as well as building the capacity for socio-economic transformation. Since the summit, we have appointed social cohesion advocates who are eminent South Africans drawn from all sectors of our society who will drive our social cohesion program. And they include, amongst others, Judge Yvonne Mukgoro, Advocate George Bizos, Dr. Frini Jinwala, Barbara Masikela, Ahmed Kathrada, and many others. We also convened 30 community conversations in all provinces to report back on the resolutions of the summit. The Northwest Province is the first province to hold a provincial summit on social cohesion. KwaZulu-Natal will follow in November, and other provinces should also hold their provincial summits before the end of this year. Fellow South Africans, next year South Africa will celebrate 20 years of freedom and democracy. We are working with our social cohesion advocates in implementing a build-up program towards celebrating this milestone. Part of this program is our partnership with Lead South Africa, or Lead SA, and Proudly South African, to launch what they call Freedom Fridays on the 20th of September this year. Freedom Fridays is a call to all South Africans to take pride in their South Africanness and together to celebrate the road they have traveled since 1994. This will do by wearing every Friday anything that expresses our pride in being South African, including colors of the national flag, traditional wear, or a jersey of our favorite national team. Okay, teams. There are many teams. I won't say who they are, you know them, all our teams. Let me say something about the Mzansi Golden Economy. I heard Leon saying global economy. I think that's very good because we're going global now. Program Director, in 2011, stakeholders from our sector gathered at the Newtown Cultural Precinct for the National Summit on the role of arts, culture, and heritage in the economy. The summit laid the basis for what we now know as the Mzansi Golden Economy Strategy, or MGE strategy. This is the strategy we are currently implementing with our stakeholders. Now, through this MGE strategy, we are channeling large-scale investments into our sector to unleash the potential to contribute even more to social cohesion, nation building, but also, more importantly, to economic empowerment. At the center of this strategy is the goal of creating 150,000 jobs and promoting growth in the sector. In the last financial year, we created or sustained over 15,000 permanent and temporary jobs in our sector. We continue to support 22 major cultural events across the country. And this includes the Cape Town International Jazz Festival, the Buyele Kaya Festival in the Eastern Cape, the Joy of Jazz that just took place 2 weeks ago in Gauteng, the Mangaung African Cultural Festival, and the Kalahari Desert Festival, among others. In addition, we do all these things to bring people together, and these events make a major contribution to the economies of the host cities. Our program to establish cultural precincts across the country is also on course. In this regard, we have made major capital investments in refurbishing and upgrading some of the anchor performing arts institutions which will form part of these precincts in the various cities. And this includes, amongst others, the Artscape in Cape Town, the Market Theatre here in Johannesburg, and the Playhouse in Durban. We invested 13 million rands in the Ray Alexander Memorial Center in Guguletu in Cape Town. This is a first phase of a precinct that will encompass a theater, a heritage site, monument, and a shopping complex and recreational facilities. In White River in Mpumalanga, a site for a cultural precinct has now been identified, and work will begin soon to develop that site as well. We are making progress in bringing back arts education in schools. This year we will place 200 artists in schools to work as art facilitators. We are making important strides towards the establishment of a National Skills Academy for the creative industries. This will become a center of excellence encompassing the total spectrum of the training needs of our sector. We spent some time on the design and development of the concept for this academy. We have now finalized the design requirements and will identify a site for the academy by the end of this year. We will also be concluding the necessary stakeholder agreements and begin sourcing funding for the academy. By the end of this financial year, our sourcing enterprise, whose purpose is to link cultural products and performances, including those from rural areas, to key markets, will also be launched. Processes are underway to secure cabinet approval for the establishment of an art bank as a mechanism for the procurement and rental of artworks for display in government buildings and other public buildings, including all our embassies throughout the world. We are proceeding with the establishment of a touring venture to provide a platform for productions to tour locally and internationally. So that's the global economy. The core of the touring venture to date has been the development of a large and small-scale international platform, including the South African season at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and also the South Africa-France or South Africa-French season. Last year, our season in Edinburgh was well received, in particular the theater production called Miss Julie, which was the audience favorite at the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh last year. The France-South Africa season has equally been successful, with 115 projects implemented, and more than 900 South Africans and artists will be taking part this year in this season in France. The season has drawn record attendances and award-winning productions. Since we started with the South Africa-French seasons, we have had many requests for seasons by other countries. We have just concluded an MOU with the United Kingdom, and we have launched now the South Africa-UK season. We have been approached by China, Russia, and we are finalizing our agreements in that regard. We have also agreed that we will be doing cultural seasons in the continent, and we are prioritizing Angola, Nigeria. And yesterday I also met with the minister from Ghana, and we've also agreed that we will have a South Africa-Ghana season. And I promise that we're going to have a big activity in Ghana next year to celebrate our freedom. And the minister has agreed. We have set aside funding for the establishment of a cultural observatory to collect and analyze statistics relevant to our sector. And this is a very important issue because often when we talk about the cultural industries and what is happening in this sector, people will always ask us, but where do you get this information from? Because Stats SA, when they analyze economy, they talk about mining, agriculture, tourism. They never talk about the cultural industries. So we thought, well, why don't we establish our own institution? Maybe as we do that, Stats SA will join us. But we do need an institution that will begin to capture the statistics of the cultural and the creative industry. So work has started in that regard. We have already developed indicators from Mzansi Golden Economy and the conceptual framework for cultural statistics, and we're aligning this to what UNESCO has been doing. UNESCO has got an institution that is called an institution for cultural and creative industry statistics. So in brief, when we talk about Mzansi Golden Economy, we talk about the economy of the arts, culture, and heritage sector. Now, often people ask me, why Mzansi Golden Economy? And I say to them, South Africa in the past years has been driven primarily by an economy that is based on mineral resources. And one of the key one is gold. So we are here in Gauteng. Gauteng means the place of gold because our economy has been driven by gold. And I said to people, in this 21st century, our economy will now be driven by the cultural and creative industries. So I said to them, this is our new gold. Hence, Mzansi Golden Economy. That's where it comes from. So when people ask you, that's how you explain it. Our new gold is arts, culture, and heritage. That's our new gold. That's Mzansi Golden Economy. That's what the strategy means. Because sometimes when people say MGE, people, what is MGE? It's arts, culture, and heritage. And the role it plays in the economy to create jobs, to stimulate small businesses, and so on. And often also when people talk about the economy of South Africa, I know they always include tourism, a program director. They always include tourism. And I said to Minister van Schalkwyk, At some point I said to him, there is no tourism without arts, culture, and heritage. There's none. When people travel all over the country, where do they go? Museums, go to our theaters, they listen to our music, they buy our music, they buy our wine and food. That's the economy. So without arts, culture, and heritage, there is no tourism. People just they don't travel for the sake of it. They travel because they want to learn about other people's culture. They want to know your way of life. They want to listen to your music. They want to go to the jazz festival. So that's the economy. So we should work together to ensure that we drive our process in that regard. The good news, of course, is that Cabinet has agreed that arts, culture, and heritage is now on top of the agenda of what we do. We are now part of what we call in Cabinet the economic cluster. So when you see me, you must know. When you see me, you must know that I'm the minister of the economic cluster. By the way, that's true. It seems you don't believe me. When the president called ministers of the economic cluster, I'm included. That's Mzansi Golden Economy. Program Director, I want to say something briefly before I conclude. You know, the problem with television is that their time is strict. But let me say this before I conclude. We are currently reviewing our policy, what we call the white paper. And of course, this review will look at how we structured as a sector, but we also want to look at the gaps in the sector. You know, we have been 19 years into government, and it's important that we begin to review our policy. So those who may not have heard about this, please check on our website. You'll see there is a document that is a draft. It hasn't gone to Cabinet yet. We thought let's consult everybody before we go to Cabinet. But we've also agreed that some of the issues that are very important in our sector, let's have task teams that will look at them. So we have a task team looking at the music industry currently, and another one looking at local content. The music industry task team is chaired by May Von Chakachak. I don't know if she's here this morning. And the local content by our former Director General, Themba Wagashe. They are supposed to give me their first reports in September. I hope they are ready. I know that they will come and ask for more time. But I think it's important that we really go into the heart of the issues in the sector. We don't want to go beyond 20 years of democracy and we complain that artists die poor. Musicians die as paupers. So their work is to find solutions. When people create production, whether it's music and so on, they must be paid for that because that's their creativity. And we have been engaging with collective societies, SAMRO and all of them, to say, let those who are creative, who are producing, benefit from their creativity. We don't want people to die poor, but they are famous. We listen to their music. They must be paid. So those task teams are doing that work. Secondly, the local content one is important because we know that we'll be moving to the era of digital television. The question is, what are you going to watch? People often say, oh, digital television, Peter Ndoro, we're going to increase, the stations will be 27 now. What are you going to watch? That's the important question. So that task team by Temba is looking at this issue. We need to produce our own content as a country. We need to tell the stories of our country, produce documentaries, films, etc. So that's what we need to do. But they are here, so they'll tell you more as we enjoy our breakfast. But we need to produce our local content. We are not saying we mustn't watch productions from overseas, in America, etc. It's fine, but we must also produce our own. I'm concluding. Fellow South Africans, although we still face major challenges, the South Africa of today is a better place than it was in 1994. Going forward, let us join hands and deepen the gains we have made thus far. As directed by the National Development Plan, Vision 2030, let us work towards a society where we say to one another, I cannot be without you. Without you, this South African community is an incomplete community. Without one single person, without one single group, we are not the best we can be. Thank you very much, Program Director, and I want once more to thank everybody who has come this morning. I know that there are people from various cities who are here. The mayor of Sidibeng, Ntate Mufokeng is here, Poka, and many others. I won't mention all of you, but all protocol observed. I know you are here, and let us work together to make our country even a better country as we go into the future.
Minister, thank you very much indeed. If I could ask you to